Hey, great evening, everyone. Great evening, everyone. Listen, welcome to She's More Now, Loving the Essence of a Woman Mother's Day Experience. I am super excited that you have come to share with us. I am going to share this on my personal page. Come on in the room. When you're coming in the room, say hello. Hope everyone has had an amazing Saturday. Got some amazing women that are going to talk to us on today and share with us. I don't know about you, but I'm super excited to hear what they have to say. So please, as you're coming in the room, say hello, like and share this video. And I'm going to tag them. I am super excited to share with each one of these amazing women. Their stories are absolutely amazing. And trust me, by the time you hear them, you'll understand why I say that they are absolutely amazing. And so, hey, Adrian. Hey, Janella. How are you? As you're coming in, please like and share this video. Yes, hope you, hey, cousin, how are you? Hope you had an amazing day. So listen, the She's More Now, Loving the Essence of a Woman Mother's Day experience is all about actually loving the fullness of a woman. Sometimes we have been taught that the essence of a woman is simply her ability to be able to conceive, her ability to be able to be a wife, to be a mom. That is the essence of a woman. And if you are not a wife, and if you can't conceive, then the essence of you is actually stunted in some way. But listen, the essence of who you are as a woman has nothing to do with whether or not you can be a wife or whether or not you can be a mom. It actually has to do everything with the essence of your heart, the true essence of your being and who God has created you to be. Hey, Felicia, how are you? Listen, hey, Marnay, good afternoon. And so when you understand that the essence of who you are has more to do with the totality of your being and not just one aspect, you can live in the fullness of your destiny, the fullness of your purpose, and you can live your best life. You can really live your best life. Many of us are living beneath who we are, and we're settling because we think that we're damaged, or we think that we're stunted because, you know, we can't do this, or we don't have children, or we're still single and we're not married. Listen, you are still an amazing woman. You are still God's amazing masterpiece. Listen, he has put some value inside of you. And I have some amazing women that I'm going to introduce. I'm going to bring them on the screen one by one just to introduce them so that you will know who they are. So the first one I'm going to introduce is Ash. I'm going to introduce Ashley. Listen, she is our mom that has the ability to be able to be nurtured from her actual womb. So she's going to tell us her story. Ash, just tell the people hello. And then we have our angel mom, Janae. Our angel mom is going to talk to us. And she's going to come and tell us about her actual experience. And then we have Tondrea, and she's going to talk. She's our rainbow mom, and she's going to share with us about her journey to her promise. And then listen, last but not least, the amazing Brandy Williams. She's going to come on, and she's going to talk to us about nurturing from your heart. Nurturing from your heart, even if you can't conceive, you still have the abundance to be able to truly nurture. So listen, if you haven't already done so, like and share this video. Invite somebody to come and share, because these mighty women are going to share with us. They're going to impart into us, because listen, we all need a little strength sometimes. We all need a little encouragement. And so as they begin to share, my first guest is going to present. Hi, Ash. How are you?
There we go. Hello. Hi, everybody.
So listen, Ashley is going to come to us, and she's going to share with us the ability to be able to conceive, to nurture from your womb, even when there's some challenges there. All right, Ash.
All righty. Greetings, everyone. I am Ashley. I am so delighted to come and share with you guys this afternoon. I only have a few minutes, but I wanted to share being a mom and nurturing from your womb. It has not been easy. I have one daughter. She is 10. Everyone pretty much knows her. Her name is Micah. And she was a preemie. And Micah was born February 22nd. She was actually due the end of March, the beginning of April. And she came early. Her dad and I we're just going to a regular routine appointment. And long story short, GBMC said, come, we want you to come now. I was actually at stroke level. My levels were at stroke level. They were asking me if I felt okay and everything. And I was feeling fine. I was calm. Nothing was wrong. I wasn't stressed or anything. And I went to GBMC and I had a little girl that afternoon, didn't have time to call many friends, many family members. My mom didn't even make it to the hospital. All I could remember, someone called my mom and said that Ash was about to give birth. And in the next couple of minutes, Micah was here. It was so much uncertainty that I had at the time, because I said, what did I do to deserve this? Not knowing what preeclampsia was, not knowing about the fibroids before, I was asking God, what did I really do to deserve this? Number one, this blessing that's coming. I'm nervous that she's not going to make it, because the doctor said to us, if we didn't take the baby now, either I was going to die or the baby was going to die. So I didn't know what was going to happen on that operating table. All I knew is that I had to trust God in that moment. However, I had a lot of support after Micah was born. I mean, my mom, she purchased us diapers for the entire first year of Micah's existence. And we didn't have to struggle raising Micah. Even now, I really bless God for having a strong support. However, when Micah was a baby, she was just a few weeks old. And my former pastor, Bishop Alexander, told me and Micah's dad that we needed to nurture Micah from a different place. And she told us to be very soft with her. She told us to be very tender with her. She told us how to nurture her. She told us how to care for her and how to be very soft with her. However, things happen where parents yell at the children to do, and we get a little frustrated with them. However, I continuously replay what the, Bishop Alexander said to me and her dad. And she specifically said, care for her, treat her as if she's a teddy bear, treat her as fragile as she could. Her heart is fragile, her body is fragile. And at age of 10, I still have to carry on that mantra. I still have to carry on that assignment as a mom. Growing up, it's no secret that I am no longer married to Micah's. I still have to nurture her in a place of emotion. I still have to nurture her to a place of compassion. And sometimes when it's not as easy to nurture in a place of being a single mom or being or not being married, I should say, not being married, it's not as easy to nurture from a place of compassion when you want to have a heart of stone from whatever situation. However, it becomes easier. I've lost many people in my life, but the two prominent guide me. My mom is still here, but I lost my grandmother and I lost my aunt, very, very close to them. And that hurt. That hurt to a point where I did not want to be connected to any other women. I didn't want to be connected to. When my grandmother passed, I was in the house with Micah, and Micah just held me. And that did something to me, that melted my heart to a point where I had to continue to nurture her as if she was nurturing me. The moment when she held me when my grandmother died, I had no choice. The moments where she's not listening, I still have to talk to her in a certain manner, but I'm gripping by her neck, but I'm going to talk to her in a certain manner where she understands that mommy loves you, that mommy is here, that mommy's not going nowhere, mommy is your greatest supporter. But I need you to understand the greatest lesson that you're going to have to face. She's learning through my life struggles. She's learning through my situations, but she's learning also through my successes. She's learning through every accomplishment or what mommy has to do in order to get here and why mommy is the way she is. Why does mommy budget? So I'm teaching a place of, she's in sports, she's in praise, and she's in a dance academy. These things I have to push her and let her know you are a phenomenal young woman. You are a phenomenal little girl, and I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know to be a godly woman, a godly young woman, and growing up in the church, outside of the church. I tell her every day before she gets out of the car. Be a leader and not a follower. Don't be the trendsetter, but I need you to set the trend. This is a daily conversation that Mike every day. And I want people to know in having children, there are certain places where honestly fathers cannot touch emotionally. The woman has to touch that place, the heart, the core of the child, whether it's a little boy or a little girl. The mother has to touch that core, because not all the time the father can be in tune to the affectionate side. However, there are a lot of men who are affectionate, but in this instance, the woman has to be the one to guide, to cover. The man is supposed to be on top of us, but the woman is to cover. I am very overprotective of my daughter, and I don't know what I would do without her. I don't know what I would do if she was not here. I'm teaching her, train up a child in the way that they should go. So that I'm teaching Micah to be stable. I'm teaching Micah to be stable in her emotions. I want her to know it's okay to speak your mind. I want her to know it's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to tell us what you want, but this is how we're going to guide you. I have a charm school where I mentor young women, young little girls, on what to do in a place of uncertainty, what to do in a place of frustration, what to do in a place of hurt and anger, anxiety, depression. All of these things come. Even learning about the cycle, the natural body, learning about the menstrual cycle. I teach my daughter that every day. So when things start to happen, when she starts to develop, she now has a model of what to do, what not to do. I showed her my failures, so she is not blinded by anything that may come her way. So I would want to encourage someone today that if you need someone to talk to, I'm always here. But learning how to nurture in the place of the womb is not always easy, but it is possible.
And so one of the things, Ash, so how do you navigate when nurturing from your womb, when you've conceived this child and you face the challenges? What is the first thing that you do to ensure that your nurturing is pure?
I'm sorry, your signal was breaking up. I heard what do you do, and I didn't hear anything after that.
I said, what do you do when you're in that tight space and you're trying to make sure that your nurturing is pure? What is the first step that you do to ensure that?
I'm not going to be deep. I can say I pray, but sometimes I have to count. I have to take the woosah. I have to, and I think everyone on the platform knows me that I need a moment. I'm an introvert, but I love people. I'm an extrovert as well, but I guess it's called an ambivert. So I need those moments to get by myself in order to regroup, in order to compile my feelings, in order to figure out how I really feel. Because I might be angry that my daughter just threw a hanger across the room, but I have to take hold or grab my feelings together and compose myself. So I do pray. I teach my daughter to pray. I'm not going to lie. We pray every morning. We pray every night. The hardest part about in the places of the core is the fact that, as I stated, her dad and I are not together. So I don't see my daughter every day. So I have to live and still keep her on the schedule as if she's with me every day. So calling her in the morning, calling her while she's on her lunch break, calling her in the evening before she goes to bed, it's exhausting sometimes, but I have to do it. And when Micah says, Father God, thank you for life, health, and strength, I said, oh, I'm doing something right. So in those tight places, it makes it all worth it.
Absolutely. So listen, I told you guys we have some amazing women that are sharing different things with us. And so as Ash was actually talking about, she has conceived the child, she's nurturing, but she also has shared some tips on how to navigate, even through making sure that that nurturing is pure and making sure that nurturing comes easy, even when your situation is not the ideal, how to still make sure that nurturing. So listen, Ash, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere, hang around, because you know we got a little Q&A session later on. So listen, I thank Ash for sharing with us. And listen, I told you we got multiple people, and so the next person that I am bringing on, listen, there may be somebody on this live, or you may actually know somebody that actually is an angel mom. They have conceived, they were preparing, and then something shifted. And so I am bringing to the screen my niece Dejanay. I'm bringing her to the screen. So you got to unmute yourself. There you go. And so listen, she has an amazing story. She has an amazing journey that she has actually not only endured, but was able to conquer and now be able to help other people as they journey through. And I had the awesome privilege to actually be there throughout the journey, even in the darkest part of the journey. And to be able to see her now be able to share her story and actually help other people who think that they're all alone and they have no one to talk to, and watch the strength that God has given her is absolutely amazing. And so if you would welcome now our angel mom, Dejanay. She's going to share with us a little bit about her story. Listen, if you all know somebody, tell them to tune in. She can help them get through that season.
Hi, everyone. As Dr. Vaughn, I'm so privileged that she is also my aunt. My auntie Vaughn did mention I am Dejanay, and I am an angel mom. My journey is really, really different. I don't like to tell the story a lot because it really, really makes it seem like I'm deep, but I'm not deep, guys. I promise. If you follow me, we got it. We got this. So about 2 years ago, in 2019, my husband and I, we found out that we were pregnant. We found out through prophecy. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have any symptoms, I didn't know anything. My former leader at the time was like, "You guys are about to birth a boy," and we were like, "Okay." It was like now, and then we came home, and my husband's father had got a call at his job, and the employer was like, "Your middle son, let them know that they're carrying a little boy." It's like, okay. So I was like, let me take a test. Took a test. Boom, there I was pregnant. We were not prepared at the time to become parents. We were just going with the flow. We were like, maybe this is something, that God is putting in our hands at this moment, and we were going to prepare. Before I got pregnant, like the years to come up, I was always this happy person. I was the person that, everyone came to, but a lot of people didn't know that deep inside, like I struggled with my weight. I struggled with my self-esteem. I struggled with like who I was, my purpose was. So a lot of my dark areas, I didn't share too much. You just always saw me with a smile. You always saw me happy. And I was actually encountering things at the moment that were very dark. So when I got pregnant with Layla, I'll say she ended up being a little girl. All I knew at that moment was praise. Praise kept my sanity. Praise was how I connected to God at that moment. Praise was how I escaped from everything. So I went to church regularly. Once we found out, I was still praising God, shouting, and doing everything that I knew that would keep me sane for the week. And this one particular Sunday, I went to church and I danced super hard, and boom. I had a really big accident at the church, which led me to be on bed rest. I have ripped the placenta, which allowed me to be on bed rest. I was in my second trimester, so I was on bed rest for about 12 weeks before I actually lost Layla. In that process, I was really confused. Like, okay, God, like I waited till I was married. I did everything right. I helped people. I prayed to you. I still had faith in you. Like, why would you allow me to, one, birth something that I wasn't prepared for, two, show a public affection of like me going through, and then three, you allowed me to deliver a baby. Now I delivered her so fast that I delivered her natural. I didn't have time to get an epidural or anything because she came so fast. So in that process, I learned as I was preparing for the Essence of a Woman today, the 3 P's, which I'm going to explain as like the pain, the process, and the purpose. And in that time, I felt like the pain was, everything that I encountered. I always told people after I gave birth to Layla, I was in a really, really dark place. I never stopped trusting God, but I did ask him why a lot. Why did you allow me to publicly be embarrassed or publicly go through something that would honestly make me feel less qualified as a woman? Like, I can't even carry a child. Like, how am I going to be good for anyone else? So in that process, I started to really focus on me more. And I was like, okay, you know what? How was this helping? I stopped, dealing with a lot of friends because I felt like people weren't there for me. Like, I'm always there for people. I'm always around people. I'm always a listening ear. But I finally went through something where I needed people and no one was there. And I'm not an emotional person. So when I went through with the Layla thing, one day God spoke to me and was like, I allowed you to go through something private, something so public to display what I went through private. So what people didn't know was that was my outward expression for help, which I needed because of what I was going through inside, but I had been going through uncovering for years. So Layla to me symbolized as like my public help, my public resource. So that was my pain. I didn't know that my process and in getting through my pain was going to be so so hurtful. It caused me to deal with things outside of the baby, deal with my childhood self-esteem, deal with just regular stuff that women go through. Word curses and, people telling you that you're not enough, but you feel like you are enough. So my process after my pain was literally dealing with all the junk that I had internalized all my life. And dealing with that, I started to know more of my strengths. Like, you know what, Dejanay, you are good for this. You can do this. You're in a dark place, but you didn't stay dark. Because one thing I noticed from being in church a lot is that we can dance and shout for when, we want rent paid or, just going through the emotions. But no one never sits to ask God, like, you know what, I'm in this place. I don't want to be here no more. And I know that I was in a dark place. And I can remember asking God, like, I don't want to be dark no more. I don't want to grieve anymore. I don't want to go through the emotions that I'm going through. I don't want to be hateful. And I remember telling God, like, I'm about to go out to Walmart. If I see a baby, I don't want to cry. So let me cry now because I didn't want to go through that, which a lot of my friends had told me, like, oh, you're going to have a miscarriage. You're going to go to a restaurant. It's normal if you hear baby cry or something like that. But I know that I didn't want to go through that. So it took a lot of me talking more to God, asking him, like, why? What is my purpose? I had never asked him that before. I just knew that I was creative. I knew that I was blessed. I knew that my hands could do this or, I could help someone. But I never had sat down and said, okay, God, what is my purpose here? Why did you put me here? So I feel like Layla, being an angel mom, forced me on my knees, like, okay, God, let me see you in this. Why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me in public? Why did this happen to me while I was praising you? Why did you allow me to feel all this pain? Why do you allow me to cry at the drop of a hat? Or why am I, going through my own personal deliverances while dealing with grief? And now I'm learning that my final P is my purpose. I know that I'm able to help people and heal people. And I had to learn, I remember one friend had told me one time, it could be that you're healing while healing. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Like, he had to put me in a place to go through, but to reveal my purpose at the same time while healing others. I'm healing myself. I'm getting more virtue. I'm getting more strength. I'm building more muscle. I'm enduring more, or being able to just relate more to people. I always knew that I was called to women's ministry. I always knew that I had a greater calling. But I don't feel like I never showed people how relatable I was. Like, I always kept this mask and things like that, things that I thought a woman was. I thought a woman had it together, had to be married, had to have kids, had to have a successful job. But I was at a point where everything was kind of like stripped from me. And it didn't make me less of a woman. It made me not more of a woman, but it made me reach down inside of me and gather some of the things that God had put on the inside of us to be able to endure, us to be able to cover, us to be able to pray, us to be able to break curses, as things that we are, Dr. Vaughn said before this started, as a woman, they're expected to be able to, birth a baby or carry a baby. But, to me, my thing is sometimes, a woman, we have the ability to birth things that are not just babies. We are nurturers. We're, seed carriers. So that means that we have the ability to birth anything that's given to us. So if you have a book in you, you have the ability to birth that. If your friend is connected to you, you have the ability to oversee and help push and help carry and help people into purpose. So I really feel like that's what an angel mom taught me. It more wasn't on the dark side, and more was me finding my purpose. And my purpose is that I'm a seed carrier. So anything that's given to me, I'm able to birth and purpose. So that is what I got out of being an angel mom. So if you're an angel mom out there, if you know someone as an angel mom, I know it may seem hard at the moment because, again, it's embarrassing. It's something that we go through publicly. Everybody sees you pregnant. Everybody sees you excited. Everybody sees your ultrasounds. And, to lose a baby and it have to be public is embarrassment. But if you just take a moment and just think about, what that purpose is beyond losing a baby, what that baby represented. To me, Layla represented purpose. I would have never stepped in some of the things and had the courage to do some of the things and speak to some of the people and encounter some of the people that I have encountered since I've lost Layla, I would have never prayed the prayers, that I've lost since I've lost Layla. I would have never asked God to reveal my purpose or give me more strength or give me more of your anointing or give me your spirit again, because I felt like I had lost everything. So I say definitely find your purpose and why you lost your baby. I definitely believe that, again, we're women, we're seed carriers. So if you try again, you will definitely conceive again, but then start birthing things that's inside of you.
So listen, if you are an angel mom, listen, Dejanay has already told you, there is still purpose in you, even when you feel like you've lost everything. The purpose, the process, the pain, the process, and the purpose. Once you actually tap into those areas, that is so good. When you tap into those areas, because sometimes it's difficult. When you're in the pain, it's so difficult to even be concerned about a process, to be concerned about a purpose. Sometimes you could care less about the other two. But when you realize that the essence of who you are goes beyond. So yes, it is a place of agony. Yes, it is a place of pain. But the essence of who you are goes beyond that pain. There's a process and there's a purpose that comes out of it all. So listen, if you are an angel mom, listen, trust me. I hope you heard the different tips and the nuggets that she shared with you. And I'm sure if you would like to connect with Dejanay, she'll even share with you and help you navigate if you're struggling in that area, because you need to understand you're not alone. You're not the only person that has had this experience. You're not the only person that has had to endure this, because sometimes we as women suffer a lot in silence because we're taught to be strong. We're taught to always have the answer. We're taught to just bear it. We can bear anything. And sometimes we're bearing things and we're not seeking the help that we need, when all you need is just one person just to help you a little bit. And then it'll catapult you to actually get through the process and to get through your purpose. So thank you so much, Dejanay. Hang on in there. And so listen, you guys, I told you, they have some amazing things. And as always, if you know me, whenever we do She's More Now, I always love to give giveaways. And because this is the Mother's Day experience, everyone that has been commenting in the comments, I threw your name into the basket. And so I pulled 2 names. And so our first 2 winners for today, if you've been engaging with us, if you've been commenting, our first 2 winners are Felicia Diggs and Madeline Jones. So our first 2 winners are Felicia Diggs and Madeline Jones. And so Felicia, we got this nice Mother's Day basket that is coming to you. Felicia, we got a nice Mother's Day basket that is coming to you. Inbox me your address and we'll make sure you get it. And then, yes, and then Madeline Jones, we have what is the Mother's Day mystery basket. So you'll has all kinds of little goodies in there. And so that will be coming your way. And so listen, I celebrate each and every woman. I celebrate all of my guests. I celebrate each woman that's listening because you matter. You are important. The essence of who you are is important. I understand your journeys may be different. Your journeys may not look the same, but guess what? We all are important. We all got some powerful essence flowing from us. And so I have two more amazing guests that's going to share with us before we actually tunnel in to our Q&A session. And so our next one, here's the thing. You may have been an angel mom. You may have had that experience, and you might have had that experience and had to try again or whatever. I want to help you understand that when Dejanay said try again, I want to bring you on in our rainbow mom, as she is going to talk to us about how she tried again and God blessed with the rainbow. After the storm, the rainbow came. And she's going to share with us not just the excitement of when the rainbow came, but the journey to that mindset of having to try again. And so here's the dynamic. There are many, many people that have experienced being the angel mom multiple times. And some of them are right now questioning, should I even try again? Should I even try again? You know, because the pain of it can be so heavy that you're not sure if you even want to touch that again. And so please help me welcome our angel mom. I thank her so much. This is my first time meeting her, but her story when my sister Ashley shared it with me blew me away. I knew that she needed to share her story because her story is like some of you that have suffered in silence. You don't want to comment. You don't want to let people know who you are because some people you have embarrassed. Dejanay talked about it. You don't have to be embarrassed. These women are sharing with you today that you can actually talk about your story and you can tunnel through it. So listen, here you are. So y'all please welcome her and please listen to her short. Go get you some tissue. You might need some.
But I got mine. I'm ready.
You might need some. I'm gonna grab mine. I'm gonna grab mine because even when I heard the story the first time, you know, my eyes started sweating a little bit. They started sweating a little bit, and so they might start flowing today. But listen, I'm turning it over to you now, darling.
Well, hey everybody. My name is Tandria. I'm already emotional. Sorry, but I'm a rainbow mom, and it's so surreal to even say those words. God is faithful. God is faithful. I'm sorry. So I know I don't have a lot of time, so let me hurry up. My story starts. My husband and I this year will be married almost 10 years. I remember after we got married, and people always want to throw kids on you. When y'all gonna have a baby? When y'all gonna have a baby? And I was like, child, I want to enjoy my husband for a little bit anyway. And I remember praying one day, and I was like, Lord, if you just give me a year, give me a year with my husband, let us travel, enjoy each other, whatever. And right after our first year anniversary, it was, I think it was like toward the end of January. After that year, I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, well, Lord, I did ask for this. I said, if you give me a year, I'm like, okay, cool. So we had found out we were pregnant with a little girl. We decided to name her Lyric. It wasn't until about maybe like 12 weeks in the pregnancy that's when we started to see issues. Like she started to measure small. The doctors really couldn't figure out what was going on. I had multiple doctors, specialists, all kind of things. It was just a very, very, very hard pregnancy. Like literally every appointment after 12 weeks, I would just be bawling, and doctors telling me, oh, your baby's gonna die. Like I was just waiting, and it was one day we were at our condo and I had like an open vision. and the Lord showed me that I was gonna lose her. Of course, nobody wants to see that, but I have that gifting, so I knew I was gonna lose her. And all of my friends, family, they were still believing. I mean, I was still believing. I'm like, God, well, maybe you'll turn it around. Like maybe it was just a bad, just all kind of things were just going through my head. And we ended up losing her. I remember it was an appointment that my husband, he couldn't get off work that day. So I had one of my girlfriends go with me to that appointment. And like right before I got to the appointment, I think I was taking like my iron pills or something like that. And I just felt different. I can't really explain it. And I guess, well, life leaving your body. Um, Went to the hospital, to my doctor, and they did an ultrasound, no heartbeat. My friend that I brought with me, she's a prophet, and she was like literally trying to find some oil to pray, like, God, we can massage her heart. She was just believing. She just could not believe that she was gone. And I was heartbroken, but I was like, God, you showed me this. Like, I don't know why this is happening the way that it's happening publicly, happening to me, and my husband. But it did. It did, and after we lost her, one of the hardest parts I think was just telling everybody because everybody knew. So it's like you get the questions, when is the baby shower? When is this? When is that? And having to repeat it over and over and over. It was exhausting. It was exhausting. My husband and I, we have a lot of friends, loved ones. We have a nice following. And, people just invested in the pregnancy. So time moves on. And we both went through our period of grief and just healing. We have amazing friends, loved ones. They would come over. We had baby stuff at the house. One of my girlfriends was like, look, I'm about to go to get all this baby stuff out. She don't need to see this when she get home from the hospital, all of that. When we lost her, I was almost 7 months when we lost her. And I had to get the epidural, all of that, push the dead baby out. Okay. So, my husband and I, we just decided, we knew we would want to try again. It was just something that we just hadn't really put a pin on when we wanted it to happen. So ended up getting pregnant again in 2017. And this time it was a little boy. Well, we didn't have any complications with the pregnancy. Everything was going great. I ended up losing my insurance. So it was maybe like a week or two, maybe like a few weeks where I wasn't able to go to the doctor, but I wasn't really tripping because I was like, well, so far nothing has happened. I knew with Lyric, they saw issues early. So I was just like, it's fine. So we did things a little different. We didn't post until I was like 5 months. I felt like if we get to 5 months, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. So we had a gender reveal. I mean, it pretty much went viral because we went live when we did it. And it was thousands of people on there. And that's when, of course, we found out, of course, that we were having a boy. We decided to name him Nehemiah. So it was around, what was the day? December. December. Is when we I was 5 months around that time, and it was like right before Christmas. And I remember Marcus had went to Memphis to visit his family. I just didn't feel comfortable because I knew I was high risk, traveling, for a long distance and stuff like this. So I stayed home. So he came back and that weekend after, and I started spotting. And I was just like, I was like, maybe it's, y'all know sometimes in pregnancy, you spot, So I laid back down and I started like to cramp, like contractions. And I'm like, oh God, like, please, God, like, please, so I got Marcus. I said, babe, I think we need to go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, went to the emergency room. The craziest thing about when we got to the hospital, I've never in my life seen the emergency room empty. Like nobody was in the emergency room. Like I was almost like, are we in the right area? Like it's kind of weird, And there was a guy there, that admitted us, and I was like, it's so quiet. It was so still, you know. Um, Make a long story short, we ended up losing him. It was a very, very bizarre, kind of like Dejanay, he came really fast. Um, of course, we still don't know exactly what happened with the pregnancy. They just couldn't figure it out. Multiple tests, multiple, doctors, all the things. Um, but I remember going to the bathroom because I kept bleeding, 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 and they put a hat. They put a hat in the commode. So I went to go to the bathroom, and I felt something drop. And I was like in my birth canal, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm thinking it's just a big blood clot or something like that. I grabbed Marcus. Marcus looks over, and he looks, and he just ran out and started screaming for the nurses to come in. And I knew then that we had lost him. And I was like, God, I was just so hurt. I was so disappointed. Like I remember telling Marcus in the hospital, I was just like, I feel like I'm damaged. Like I felt like damaged goods. I just remember I just I didn't understand. And then I was really pissed at God because I'm like, God, you showed me the first time. Like, why wouldn't you show me now? So um after that pregnancy, I was just pissed. I was very angry for a while. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm like, it'll be me and Marcus. I'm good. My husband is amazing. He takes amazing care of me. I'm like, I'm fine. It'll just be us. We got a sea of God children. I'm like, I'll be all right. So, but even in that, God was just working with me. He was working with me, and I had to learn that it's okay to not be okay. So I went to a therapist and got some counseling and, about just grieving, a grief counselor, because I was just like, I haven't felt like this before. I'm like, I just I just didn't know what to do. But through time, through the help, with the help of the Lord, um, we would continue to pray, fast. Our friends would, encourage us, check up on us, just all the things. Just, I have an amazing village. I thank God for the people that I have around me, and especially when you are going through infertility issues, sometimes people just don't know what to say. And it's okay. And I've had a friend tell me, it's just good to see, because some days I'll be like, I don't want nobody over here, but they knew I wasn't eating. I was depressed. But they would make sure they would bring me food to eat and sit there and watch me eat it to make sure that I was eating, or coming over to pray with me, or just sit there, just be there, you know. So it took some time, of course, we're grieving, we're hurt, but something in me was like, I know you mad, but I promise I got you. And I was like, okay. So um maybe like 2 years past that, last year, right before the pandemic hit, my husband and I kind of just started to talk and was like, let's try again, and I was like, well, let's just do something different. I was like, let's try IVF. So I was against it, for a long time, because I just felt like, I'm like, I just want to have it naturally. Like, I don't want to have to go through that. I don't want to have to spend all that money. I don't want, I just did not want to do it. But I was like, you know what? I had a really good friend that went through IVF. She had twin boys. I was like, let me just be open. Let me be open. So we had started the process, going to the different doctors, getting the tests. We both knew we probably need to lose some weight, so we wanted to lose weight and stuff like this so that we could have the best possible outcome, for the pregnancy. We were scheduled to go through IVF in November of last year. Well, in at the end of June, I found out that I was pregnant again. And I'll be very honest, like I didn't know how to feel. I can't say I was overly excited. I can't say I probably had every emotion that you probably could think of going through my body. I think it took about 3 or 4 days for me to even just sit in the fact that I was pregnant again because it wasn't my plan. It didn't happen the way that I saw it happening. And I felt like I had a fireproof way of getting a baby. Knowing all well and good that God is the only one that can give life. You know, so on His timing, not mine. um, so we found out we were pregnant. Of course, after I got over the shock of it, I settled into it. And I was just like, God, like, I know that you're able. Like, I know what you've promised me. Like, I know what you've shown me, and I'm the best gift that I could ever give to my husband is a child to have our legacy continue that when we die, somebody else will be able to tell the story. Somebody else to show somebody else how to love and how to be loved. So, one of my really good friends, been friends since kindergarten. She came to me maybe about it was a few months before I found out I was pregnant. And the Holy Spirit had already kind of told me, He was like, you're going to get pregnant again. And I was like, I just wasn't trying to hear it. I wasn't. And I was like, I just wasn't trying to hear it. And she came to me and she was like, you're going to get pregnant again. She said, but this time you're not going to be able to tell anybody. You're not going to be able to post about it until God gives you the release. And I was like, well, it was kind of confirming, I believe that too. So I was like, you're not going to post anything. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with the pregnancy. I've been hopeful in my last two, but I still came out empty handed. I still had to get rolled out of the hospital empty handed. So, being pregnant, we found out that it was another little boy. We named him Jeremiah. This time it was a little different. I switched back to my original doctor that I had with Lyric. He's an amazing faith-based doctor. I mean, phenomenal. So as soon as he found out I was pregnant, he was like, we're gonna hook you up with your specialist. I had a team, I had 5 different specialists during that pregnancy. And he was like, whatever we have to do to ensure that you take a baby home is what we're gonna do, whatever that looks like on a medical standpoint. And I was open. I said, okay. So he didn't put me on bed rest or anything like that. I was still walking, exercising, doing things, and of course, the pandemic, we were in a full-blown pandemic, so I really couldn't go anywhere anyway. So it was kind of easy to hide, the pregnancy and stuff like that. So I got off of social media, I just got still. I got quiet. And the Lord allowed us to be pregnant up until like I was literally 25 weeks, 5 days pregnant. And right before that, I had went to one of my doctor's appointments and my specialist was like, they did an ultrasound and they saw that my placenta, I had some issues with the blood flow going from the placenta to the baby. So he was just like, you need to go to the hospital. And I'm thinking like I was scared, I was like, Lord, okay. Marcus was on the phone with me during the appointment, and I was like, I'm gonna go home, we get a bag, and we go to the hospital. So I went to antepartum, ended up being in antepartum for 16 days. I was in the hospital for 16 days before I had him. I remember the day that it was the day after Thanksgiving when we conceived when he was born. And his specialist came to me that morning, and I was like, well, do you know how long I'm gonna be here? It's like, is it gonna be for the rest of the pregnancy? Can I go home? Like, I just want to sleep in my bed, and I don't want to get pinched on, and all the things that go on in the hospital. And she was like, Jeremiah's gonna let us know when he's ready. And I was like, okay. So we had another ultrasound. She came back into the room. She said, Jeremiah's ready. I was like, what? What do you mean? She said, we're gonna take him. And I'm thinking like, Lord, is it, all these crazy things? She was like, no, his heartbeat is fine. She was like, Jeremiah's just ready. She was like, he's a meant to be baby. And I was like, okay. So I called Marcus. Marcus got to the hospital probably in less than 10 minutes. He was at the hospital. They did my epidural, all of those things. They got us ready for the OR. We were in the OR, and I remember like my husband just started to go into worship. He started singing in the OR. And the crazy thing about it was during that time, you could just feel the presence of God. You could feel God's presence in the room. So they got him out, and he came out crying. And I was just absolutely mind blown. I was like, God, like, who is this? Like, first of all, babies don't even have the lung development enough to cry until they're at least 30 plus weeks old in the womb. He's 25 weeks, 5 days, and he's coming out crying. And it was such a sign of relief. It was such a sign of like a miracle being, taking place. Marcus and I just broke down crying. Like, it wasn't a dry eye in there. Like, it was an absolute miracle. And he was born 1 pound, 5 ounces. He was in the NICU for 93 days. He's been home with us about 9 weeks now. And he's now almost 9 pounds. So, to God be the glory. If anything, a nugget that I could just give to, any woman, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to sit for a little while, but get up. But get up. And secondly, I'll say, as women, we're nurturers, but at the same time, I had to learn through all 3 of my pregnancies how to release the control. Because we say a lot of things. We say we trust God, we love God, God, you get the glory. But on the tail spirit of it, you still want to control it and let it be the way that you want it to happen. And the last thing I'll say is, it's so funny when we tell God our plans. I wanted to start my pregnancy in November with IVF, but God gave me a whole baby in November.
Look at that.
I surrendered, and I just released the control, and I just let it happen however God wanted it to happen. But I do believe, because I was open enough to change my mindset to do something different, that he gave me my promise the way that I really wanted it.
Mm-hmm. See, when your plan is not God's plan,
Mm-hmm.
when your plan is not God's plan, sometimes if you listen to her story, I told you probably needed some tissue because I already done put mine down. You have to understand, even just navigating through that feeling. If you heard the feeling, even through Dejanay, the feeling of the embarrassment, the feeling of the hurt, the feeling of the, I'm damaged. That feeling can take you under if
Yes.
it's not addressed. If it goes unaddressed, it can become something that will haunt you forever, and it will cause all of your promise and your destiny, all will be halted just because of that one feeling. And so it's like you said, because you were open enough, but it took some time to get there. It took some process. So I hope those of you who were listening, y'all listen to the realness of it. She didn't sugarcoat. She didn't try to make you think that, it could happen. I was fine until the next time I was fine. No, I had to sit. She had to sit with each situation, each turn, and really had to face it. So everyone that's listening on here, I don't care what part of your journey, what method God is using to get you to your promise, what process he is taking you through, just because your process doesn't look like someone else, because if you're listening, Ash process didn't look like Dejanay. Dejanay's journey of her life in general didn't look like Tondrea's. Listen, the process are different. And listen, Brandy is coming and she's going to have a different process. But each one of these women have the power and essence flowing through them. They are not damaged simply because the right way or what is deemed to be the right way or what is deemed to be the normal way wasn't their way. It doesn't mean that because it wasn't their way, it doesn't mean that they are any less of a woman or that they are any less of the purpose that God has for them, because the essence still flows through them. It just flows a different way. So thank you so much, Tondrea. Hang on in there. Don't go anywhere. We'll have a Q&A session shortly. So listen, I hope you've been listening, because I wanted to create this platform for women to understand that you are not alone. Different one of us suffer in silence, whether or not. And listen, we're going to ask the panel in a little bit, but I want y'all, because I've heard it twice, stop asking women, when are they going to have a baby? I want you to do me a favor. I know some of you don't mean any harm. I understand that. But let me give you words of wisdom right now. Please stop asking women, especially married women, when are they going to have a baby? Because here's the dynamic. You don't understand what they're dealing with in silence, because some of them are dealing with some hard things. And each time that they hear the question, when are you going to have a baby, can be another lashing or another breaking in them that they have to go home. Some people, I know for a fact, I've gone and sat you go in a car, you cry, you don't even know how to get yourself together because it becomes overwhelming, especially. And then another thing, and before I bring Brandy on, and if a woman is nearing 40, stop asking her, when is she going to have a baby? Even for the single one, stop asking her, when is she going to have a baby? Because here's the dynamic. I understand many people don't mean well, but there's a lot of women that suffering in silence, and some of them fall into states of depression because so many people are asking them, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to have a baby? When are you going to have a baby? Now they're excelling in their jobs. They're excelling in their ministry. They're excelling in the gifts that they have. But because they don't have this one thing, people will become overbearing to them, asking them about when are they going to have a child. Like everything else that they've accomplished does not matter unless they can produce a seed. And what you have to understand, the essence of a woman is more than just her ability to conceive. Dejanay said it already. We are seed bearers. But here's the thing, what you have to understand. That seed is manifested in different forms. We are seed bearers, but the seed doesn't always come out of your womb. We are seed bearers, and sometimes that seed comes out of your heart. Sometimes that seed comes out of your heart. And so we got to be very careful how we handle people just because we think that their journey is supposed to go another way. And that's just a segue for me to bring on my next guest. Brandy is coming on. She's going to actually talk to us about nurturing from your heart when you can't nurture from your womb. This is a serious thing that many women don't want to talk about, but it's real. And I'm honored that Brandy has had the strength to share and to help different women to be okay and say, I'm not damaged. It may be rough. It may be, it's difficult, but guess what? I still know I'm still a whole woman. And I got a lot to give, even if it's from my heart. So help me welcome Brandy at this time. Hi, Brandy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Dr. Vaughn, for having me, for me to share a little of my story. So I kind of have two stories that I'm going to condense into one. So I am 1 in 8, which is pretty much out of 8 families, there's one family who will not be able to conceive, and I am 1 in 8. I'm going to share a little bit of my story. I, at a very young age of about 20 to 21, I was having, some issues with my cycle when all of a sudden it just disappeared. And I saw different specialists, and so I was diagnosed with premature ovarian failure, also known as primary ovarian insufficiency, which is it's the loss of normal function of your ovaries before the age of 40. If your ovaries fail, they don't produce normal amounts of hormone estrogen, and they don't release eggs, which infertility is a common result, and also early menopause. So I've been going through menopause since I was 21. Um, so with you knowing that IVF was never an option for me because I can't produce my own eggs. I tried that route. I tried to see so many different specialists. Every last one of them told me, Brandy, I'm sorry, it's nothing we can do. IVF will not work for you. Um, you just will not be able to have a child. So being told that and being married, it was very hard, very, very emotional, because I felt like, God, I'm doing this the right way. I have a husband, I don't have any children. My husband don't have any children. Um, you know, this is crazy. So I went through all of the emotions of not feeling like a woman, feeling like I was less than, just feeling terrible. A lot of my family members didn't know that I was suffering because I never told anyone. Um, all they knew was Brandy she just don't have a child. So I never told anyone what I was going through. Only a select few, like my sister and my cousin, Kiana, they were like one of the main ones that knew what I was really, really going through, and my mom. Um, it was very hard, especially when all of your friends are having babies. Because I couldn't have a baby, I just felt like I was just, like one of the other panelists said, damaged goods. I just felt like, you're supposed to be a woman. You're supposed to be able to have a child, and I can't even do that. Like, you know, and I was to think of, oh God, like just I felt horrible. It took me a long time to get over it. I wouldn't say I'm fully over it because there are certain seasons of my life where, I just think like, you know, um, I feel like I'm okay with it, and then something will happen and trigger, or I'll see something and it'll trigger it, and then I'll just have a little breakdown or whatever. There were many nights that I cried at night, just like, this isn't fair. There are women out here who are having children who don't deserve them, who, they're tossing their kids to the side and just leaving them wherever. And here it is, I'm a married woman and I want to have a child and can't. But the flip side of that, like I told you, I have two different stories and I'm going to condense it into one. The flip side of it is God knew, and He does all things well. So He knew that I was going to have to take care of somebody else's child. So just to give you a little background, my dad and his wife, they had a child. Things happened where they could not take care of her, and it was a no-brainer for me because I've been taking care of her since she was born, pretty much. And certain things happened. I got the phone call that you know, India was left with the neighbor. My grandmother went and got her, and they called me, of course, because they know the relationship that I had with India. She was only a few months then. So me and my husband took her, and we took care of her. We wasn't married at the time. We was dating, but he was there with me every step of the way from the very beginning. And he's like, whatever you want to do, I'm here. We got this. So fast forward some years later, we got sole custody of her. At that time, India was in the first grade. We got full custody of her, so she came to live with us. Everything, was good. I love her as if she's my own child. Anyone will tell you that if they see us together or they know of us, they tell you in a heartbeat, I would have never known that India was not Brandy and Damon's child, because we love her that much and we love her as if she's our own. Um, the road it's been rough the last couple of years because she's now a teenager. She's about to be 17 next week. So we've had some rough patches, and I will tell you that you have to be a special kind of woman, a special kind of man to take care of someone else's child and love them and nurture them and care for them and pray for them as if they were your own child. And I feel in my heart that God knew that she needed us. And he knew that if I had a child or whatever, I probably would not have taken India in, if I did have my own child. So I feel like God does all things well. And I've come to terms with it, of me not being able to physically have a baby. But God did give me a child to take care of. And she is very special to us. Um, sh- Wonderful young lady. She has some growing pains, which all teenagers do. But at the end of the day, she's a very special young lady. God knew that me and my husband would fight for her destiny. The way that we do, the way that we cover her in prayer, the way that we guide her in her life. God knew that she needed us, and if she was anywhere else, she would not get the love and the support that she gets from not only me and my husband, but we have a huge village that steps in and loves India as if she's definitely family, because she is family. Yes, she's my baby sister, but at the end of the day, she's my daughter. And if you ask her who her parents are, she's going to let you know. This is me and my husband. And, you got to be equipped for this journey, because it's not all peaches and cream. It's not all good because, the child, they deal with their own internal things, as far as not being with their biological parent. So with her being a teenager, she's dealing with that right now, and and counseling and stuff. So I do know that she's definitely going to fulfill her destiny. She's definitely going to be an amazing woman, an amazing person. She already is, but with our love, our guidance, and our prayers, she's going to be, you know, when the time comes for her to tell her story, it's going to blow your mind. It's definitely going to blow your mind, because for her to be 16, maybe 17, and to have dealt with so much that she has dealt with and the trauma and all of that stuff, and I'm telling you, she's coming out on top. She's
Yeah.
going to be amazing. And, that's why she has me and my husband to fight for her, because we are fighting for her destiny, literally. We
Mhm.
pray over her. We pray for her every day before she step up out that door. We're praying, because the enemy, he don't play fair. So I have to make sure, me and my husband, we do for her as if she's our own child, and we literally fight for her.
No,
So she's
India,
gonna be
y'all.
amazing.
India, y'all. No, she is just
She's
like
definitely
India. India is yours.
she's definitely
Y'all have, and the reason why I say that, y'all have to see her husband and India interact. India belongs to them.
Definitely.
India definitely belongs
Definitely.
belongs to them. And so listen to, did y'all just hear just the dynamic? She already knew at the age of 20 that there was already going to be, can you imagine in your 20s already realizing, you know, when you're the teenage girl, you got this mindset, you about to have this family, you're gonna dress up this little girl, you're gonna be a mom, this and that. When you find this out and then having the strength to actually navigate through it, and then to have her husband, I don't know if you heard it, her husband didn't have children. So her husband, that's another dynamic. We don't even have time for her to cover it, but her husband didn't have children, but yet and still God united them, strengthened them to journey through to now care for India, nurturing from your heart, even when you know there's no way unless a miracle happens to actually nurture from your womb. And so listen, but she's not the only one. There's many women that suffer in silence. So they dive into one area of their life to substitute for this one. But you don't have to substitute. You can actually be free and understand. You can navigate through it all. You're not damaged. You're not damaged. And so we're about to bring all the panelists back on so we can chime into some questions. Because listen, one of the questions one of the statements, as I bring them back on, one of the statements that has continued to go through each and every one of them, even through Ashley, who had it and had her child and everything. One of the common threads that it went through each and every one of your stories is the feeling of damage or embarrassment. And let me tell you why I included Ash as well, because Ash also had the story of doing it right, but then becoming a parent in two separate households. So there's still an area that she has to deal with. So one of you ladies deal with the how do you conquer the feeling of being damaged? How do you conquer the real feeling of being damaged when you can't do what they say is what you as a woman are supposed to do?
I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll unpack that for a second. I will say they talked about the preparation and the process of it all. And I remember the trial sermon that I preached was from prayer through pain to promise. And that's exactly what we all have talked about tonight. And to be honest, dealing with the damage of, number one, not being able to see my daughter for the first couple of days of her being born, and everybody else thought that they were her mom. Dealing with my incision still being numb after 10 years, feeling like my body is damaged. And I'm sure it's common, but feeling like my body is damaged. The fact of, like you said, being in two separate households, I now have to sometimes overly compensate for what some people in with two-parent households will feel. So sometimes I have to be mommy and sometimes I have to be daddy, even though when I lost my dad at the age of 3, my grandfather stepped in, and still feeling that void and being envious of someone else who has a father and a mother, who has a grandfather, who has a grandmother. I don't have grandparents anymore. And to be honest, that damage, I must say, what you have to do is deal with the emotion. You have to just deal where you are. You can, and I have done this. I have, even in my 30s, I'm 34. Comparison to someone else is of the devil. That thing will hold you hostage from moving on and progressing in life. And I must say, in your place of being damaged, you still have to find the definition. You have to have those defining moments that make you who you are. And you have to really deal with where you are. If you're in pain, say you're in pain. Say you need help. Say you need somebody. Say you need this and say you need that. But I must say, just deal where you are.
I can also piggyback off that. I would say one of the things that I thought I was damaged because I was looking at other people. Like she said, comparison. When you start to take the expectation off of what you think should be correct, and you just know that, like, you know, this is me. Like, you know, who didn't say like I had to graduate first and then get a career? What if I got a career then graduated? That doesn't make it anything wrong. So one of the things when I thought I was damaged was because I was comparing myself to other people. You know, they did it this way, they got it this way. When I started just to take the expectation off of and just, you know, go like, you know, the only right way is the way that I'm doing, the way that I'm living it at this moment, because my life was destined for me. So I would say to get over that is just take the expectation off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so another one of the things, and Tondrea, I want you to tackle this one for me. The embarrassment. So the damage we dealt with, but how do you, I want you to tell the women, how do you actually deal with the embarrassment? And here's the thing. You didn't feel it once, but you felt it twice. How do you deal with people visibly seeing what you deem as a failure?
Oh, honey. I think for me, I centered myself around the right people. And when I say that, I had people literally around me that just loved me. They poured love, the love that God gave them, they poured it into me consistently and reminded me that I understand what you're going through, but there's still more in you. Like you're not done. Like you're not, and I would say that I'm done. I'm done. And like I said, you have the comments come in the DMs, when you do finally have to tell people, because you don't want people just sending stuff to your house,
Right.
they don't know, but at the same time, like I had to sit in that thing. And like Ashley, was just saying, you have to be honest. And that's one thing that the enemy tricks us with is people, even in our humanity, we lie. We lie all the time. I was like, yes, I'm embarrassed. Yes, I'm pissed. And ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing different. And it's not that I don't love Jesus. It's not that I'm not in his word on my face or any of that. I did all of that and more. But it didn't take that feeling away. But on the flip side of it, if I can be very honest, he knows what he can trust people with. He knew that I had that reserve strength deep down in my soul. He knew when he formed me in my mother's womb that I would go through this. He knew that he would publicly put it out there, and I would have to talk about it, because he knew that Tondrea would not lose her mind. Everybody cannot do that. I'm fully aware that most women, if they had went through what I have, or Brandy, or Deason, they would be in a mental facility somewhere. They would lose it. But God knew that what he put on the inside of you, it would come alive and activate when it needs to. So even my embarrassment, it's to help out. Of course, after you heal, when you go back and look at it, you're like, God, you're making me a billboard for your glory. That people have to see what it looks like to be publicly in pain. And that I didn't give up. And now I'm looking at my son now, and he's going viral. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, it's uncomfortable, but it's gonna bring such a greater glory on the other side of it.
It goes back to those 3 P's, Dejanay.
Yeah.
It literally goes back to those. So I have the pain of being embarrassed. I have the pain of feeling damaged. I have the pain of feeling inadequate. But then while I'm in there, I got this process, Ashley, where I got to tell the truth. Tell that I'm hurt. Tell that I'm in pain. What Ashley said, tell I need help. But look, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. But then all of that navigates and brings me to, let's go with Brandy, my purpose. That I had purpose, that he already set me up. Case in point, her, that I was supposed to parent this child. And if I had one of my own, I wouldn't have. So when I look at this whole thing, I realized it didn't feel good. Matter of fact, I hated it. Matter of fact, let's tell the truth. I hated the process, period. Let me not try to clean it up. Try to say, no, I hated the process. And I'm not too fond of it now. But when I look at it, I realize that it was necessary. And So, Brandy, I want you to talk. How do you accept God's plan when it doesn't match your plan or your desire? How do you accept the fact, God, this is it. For this is what you already said for me. I have a heart you gave me. So let me tell you about me too. So you have a heart to love children. God gave you this abundance of a heart. I mean, he gave you the purity of a mother's heart. The purity of a mother's heart to actually love on children, do for children. I mean, sow into children. You buying for the nieces, you buying for the nephews, you at the graduations, you at the birthdays, you're not missing no milestones, you checking on them. I mean, the love is flowing from your heart. But God, and you got this thing, yeah, but I got this plan in my head, God, you know, I'm doing everything, so you're going to bless me. But when you got to face the fact that God says that your womb will not produce what you've been telling it to produce, because I'm going to make you love a different way. How do you accept that?
It was hard. I'm not going to lie. That was a tough pill to swallow. It was a tough pill to swallow. But I had to think of the purpose, the reason why, you know, and sometimes you got to step outside of yourself and just look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is I have to make sure that India is taken care of the way that she's supposed to be taken care of. I'm supposed to make sure that she know what it is to be a woman, how to carry herself as a woman. Nobody else would have been able to teach her that, not even her biological mom. And I'm just being honest. Her biological mom would not be able to teach her none of that stuff. And so it was hard. But, you know, I had to also think about it, you know, what if he would have allowed me to have a child? Maybe it was a whole another reason why I didn't have one. I could have died during childbirth. I could have, you know, anything could have happened. And this might have been his protection of me in my life. You know what I'm saying? So I had to think of it in that way. You know, maybe I'm being protected. Even though this is my desire, baby, I had names
What you
laid
talking?
out.
What you talking?
Honey, and Jeremiah is the name. I had Jeremiah as my son, and if I was going to have a daughter, her name was going to be Kendall Madison. And then I even added on another one. I said if I had another one, her name would be Brooklyn Rose. Like I had all the names, honey. I had my whole entire plan, but that wasn't God's plan for me. It wasn't his plan for me. And so I just have to accept it and be okay, because God is God. We don't know his ways and we don't necessarily understand it sometimes, but we have to trust it. And I have to trust in the fact that I didn't have biological kids for a reason. But on the flip side, he still loved me enough to give me a child to nurture and to pretty much birth, because I've had her since she was a baby. And he gave me that, you know. I didn't physically give you a child out of your own womb, but hey, I'm giving you a child. This is my child I want you to take care of, because only you and your husband can do this. Nobody else can.
That's right.
Come here, Andy. That's my big baby, y'all.
Yeah.
That's my big baby.
That's hers. Y'all had to see them at the event. That's why I said her father. But listen to what one of the things she said. I have this saying, and I've been telling it because of a different season of my life. And Ashley probably the only one that knows that season of my life that I just went through. I have a saying that it's not rejection, it's protection. I have a saying that has been navigating me through the last 2 years of my life. that it's not rejection, it's protection. And when you said it, I immediately was like, there we go again. Because of the simple fact, what if, and that's how I navigate through my issue, because what if God would have actually sent me through that and I had Tondrea's experience and lost my mind because I wasn't strong enough? Or what if he sent me through the experience, but then I have to turn over to the journey and navigate like Ash is navigating. And I don't know, I can't do it adequately in a nurturing way, because if something damages what I thought was, I lose my mind. You know, what if I had to go through it the way Dejanay went through it? I might have zapped, made it became addicted. There go the prince, I see him. Tondrea put him in the screen, y'all. Sorry, I got distracted. So listen, but I'm just saying, think about it, y'all. If we really think about it from that perspective, there are a lot of things that we feel like are failure part of our lives, and a lot of areas that we feel like God has not done what we asked him to do or whatever. But it actually has been a layer of protection, because if he did grant you, if he said yes to everything, if he literally said yes to everything, some of us, number one, wouldn't have fulfilled our purpose because we would have got distracted because we got our little yes. And because God gave us our little yes, God, I don't need nothing else from you because you gave me a little yes. And then some of us, he actually would have given it to us and it caused more suffering because he gave it to us because you kept begging him for it. So he said, here you go. And now you end up suffering or dealing with something that he was trying to prevent you from to begin with. And so I had to learn, even navigating through what I've navigated through in various seasons, that it's not rejection. Sometimes it's a layer of protection because you might not have been ready. Or it's a layer of protection because that was the actual canal through which something else was going to be birthed. Case in point, Dejanay. There's some things that Dejanay would have never birthed. I know personally. There's something, Ash knows, there's some things that Dejanay would not have tapped into until she was forced to be in a dark season where she had to be in God's presence because she didn't want to be nowhere else. So now, because I don't want to be anywhere else and I got to be in God's presence, now he has me secluded enough for me to actually now take you through process and get you to purpose. And so I always tell people all the time, it's always about the lens that you look at something. If you go to the eye doctor, if you ever notice, they put them two lenses and they always say, is it clearer now? Was it clearer now? Sometimes you have to change the lens multiple times before it ever gets clear enough for you to legitimately see what you need to see. And so that's how me personally, I've navigated to realize I'm not damaged in any area. Matter of fact, I don't even have any failures. I got some teachable moments. I don't even know. I got teachable moments. I might didn't get it right, but it was in that moment, it was just teaching me how to get it right the next time. I'm not even hard on myself now that if I drop the ball, I don't even call it, I'm not defeated. This is a teachable moment. What do you need to learn in this moment? Or whatever. And so one last thing before we leave, and Ash, I want you to, what do you feel, or any of you, what do you feel about the importance of counseling?
Oh, very important.
It's number one. It's very important. And it's important to find a therapist or a counselor that you trust. That is confidential. I've learned in therapy that there are some therapists that are not confidential. So it's important to do your research. It's important. I've had one therapist from, I believe, the day I got divorced until now, the same therapist. But you have to be in tune with that therapist. And because we are all Bible believers, we are all faith-based women, I believe in Christian counseling, but I also believe in secular counseling as well, because it touches on all aspects. And if you have one person to do both, that's phenomenal. But if you don't have that, I feel like I'm going to just stay here, because we're faith-based women, I feel like they can unpack both the natural and the spiritual side. My counselor prays with me. She checks up on me. She gives me scriptures. She helped me to go through the grief of losing a friend. naturally. So we unpack the scriptures on how to be a friend. We unpack scriptures on how to maneuver and deal with difficult people. And I have a spiritual counselor at church, but they help me to unpack where I am and where I'm going. So I agree with counseling 100.
Absolutely. Brandy, you said without a doubt, counseling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you have to have an outlet to talk to someone, to talk your feelings out, to talk things out. I'm actually in the process of trying to find one. I guess with the pandemic going on, nobody has
Right.
any openings, so it's very hard. But you know,
I have a
you
person
have
I
to
can
have the
recommend you
outlet.
that's taking new
There you
clients,
go. There you go,
Okay.
Brandy.
and she's
Okay.
in your area.
Okay, good. Okay, awesome.
See, it said you have not because you ask not. Look at that right there. Ashley just said, I got one in your area. I got one in the area. Listen, because I believe in sometimes, and I'm glad Ashley mentioned that sometimes we as faith believers, and listen, me and Jesus, I mean, hey, we road dogs. Trust me. I listen, but you need prayer and you need a couch.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm sorry, you need prayer and listen. I can cast out the devil. I mean, we travail in prayer, we intercede. I mean, we shift atmospheres and everything. And when I finish shifting the atmosphere, I go call that counselor and say, "Oh, listen, this week we need to talk." Because here's the dynamic. I think we over spiritualized it and forgot that we are trichotomy beings. I think we have failed to realize that God didn't make us 100% spirit. So you gotta go deal with that natural person at some point.
Yes.
You better go deal with that natural person. That's not because that natural person will take over. Listen, you can pray, but listen, it's nothing wrong. Anybody listen to us. There's nothing wrong with counseling. It does not make you less spiritual. It does not make you less anointed because you have a therapist. Listen, I got a therapist, an intercessor, I got a prophet, I got a pastor. Oh, I got a whole team. But yes, guess what? My therapist is on that team. And I might have to check out Ashley therapist, whatever the case may be. Because you always need to stand on. You need to stand by. You need to stand by. Because sometimes, listen, you need to stand by. And so, listen, I appreciate each and every one of you. My last two giveaways, Najee Banks and Marnay, they are my other two giveaways for tonight. Y'all know I told you I had 4 giveaways. So they are my other 2 Mother's Day giveaways for this experience. But listen, I appreciate each and every one of you phenomenal women for coming on and sharing your story. Trust me, even though people don't comment sometimes, because I've done it. I've listened to a whole thing and know they was talking about me and wouldn't say a word. Even when you say, do you have any questions or do you need, they won't say a word. But listen, y'all appreciate the wealth of your experience that you've shared today. Because if more of us women weren't threatened about sharing our experiences, because it shouldn't be that we should be threatened to share our experience because someone has a child, but I don't want to share that I'm having issues with a child because she's gonna think less of me. No, we all in this together. If we understand that we love, let that thread of love just fall through, we can help more people sharing our story. But we're always trying to, what DJ said, we're always trying to compare. Comparison will kill you. We always trying to compare, but we don't have to compare. We can celebrate that you got what I was aiming for. I am having a hard time, but I can still talk to you about it. And then you don't have to look down at me because you was able to achieve it and I wasn't. The dynamic of it is we still all should be able to strengthen each other. And I want each one of you ladies to know that you have strengthened me. I'm quite sure that you've strengthened different women that have listened to it. And as I continue to replay it on YouTube as well as Facebook, that many people will be able to be strengthened and understand you're not alone. You don't have to go through alone. And guess what? You're not damaged. The essence flows out of you and you need to love the essence of who you are. You're not damaged. You don't have to be embarrassed. There's somebody else. And listen, each one of these ladies, I'm sure if you need to talk to them and you don't really want to say it on here, inbox them. I'm sure they'll answer your questions. I'm sure they will talk to you. I'm sure they will let you know how they navigated, you know, because I'm sure, you know, their stories go beyond what a little hour and a half can do. Trust me. And so I thank each and every one of you for sharing with me during this experience. And before I let you go, I'm sure you've already seen my post, but because I'm real excited, I'm real pumped, I'm real excited. So I wrote a book about that's flowed through my journey, and it's literally called I Am More. It's called I Am More Now. So I actually, in a pandemic, I wrote a book. And it's navigating through, it's an empowerment journal that navigates through my feeling of rejection, my feeling of abandonment, my feeling of how people just threw me away or how I felt like they threw me away. It let me know I Am More stands for motivated overcomers being restored and empowered. I am motivated. I'm an overcomer. I've already been restored and I'm already empowered. And when am I? I'm more right now. I ain't even gotta wait for it. It's already here. It's already manifesting. So I wanted to share that bit of information with you. Pre-orders are going on my website. I shared it on my page. But pray for me in this journey. I just launched into an area that I'm not used to, but I'm excited that I am in this arena and God's will be done. And I pray that God's will is done in each and every one. Blessings upon each and every one of you. Jeremiah, hi. He's resting in the bosom. Hey, hi. So listen, pray nothing but blessings over Jeremiah and pray nothing but, you know, God's manifested promise over his life as well. We thank him for being here with the Prince has graced us with his presence. And so we thank God we just thank God for each and every one of you. And I pray God's blessings over each and one of your household. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being committed to help somebody. Because my belief is always, if I could just help one person, I don't have to help thousands. I can just help one person, one woman not lose her mind because of what she's going through, or one woman to feel like she's not less than just because her journey don't look like they say on the TV or how they preach about or how they say you're supposed to be. You know how they say her children arise and call her blessed? I love the scripture, but what if I don't have any?
Right.
You got to help me navigate through that too. Can I still be blessed? Can somebody still arise and call me blessed, even if I'm not?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not bearing any children. And so I thank each and every one of you. Again, they're all saying thank you, congratulations in the they even saying good evening, Prince Jeremiah. They all up in the or whatever. We're gonna make Jeremiah famous. Go ahead. We all up and through the chat. So listen, I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope that you have an amazing evening. I just can't say thank you enough. So to all of you that are watching, thank you for sharing here as She's More Now presents Loving the Essence of a Woman, where we understand that the essence of a woman is more than just bearing a child or being a wife. It is truly being what flows from her heart. That is the essence of who she is. So listen, have an amazing evening. Be sure to like and share this video with someone. And even if they're not on social media, it's over on our YouTube channel, Dr. Shavonna Whitehead, so they can actually play it at any given moment. We hope that something today was shared that has strengthened you, that has empowered you, but most of all, that has helped you love on you. So have an amazing week, but most of all to you all, happy Mother's Day. Whether or not you've been a mother through your heart, through your womb, whatever way, godmother, whatever, happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you. Have a good evening, everyone.